same with my prosthetic painting and application system. I teach sculpting, mold making, and running foam as a system as well, just to make it really easy for people. So my system with sculpting is hands, rakes, and loops. So you start with your hands. These are the best tools that God gave you right here. You do as much as you possibly can with the form and the shape and the blending of the edge and everything with your hands. After you get to the point where you can't do anything else with your hands, you go to a rake. So a rake tool is this right here. This is from cutting edge sculpting. And a rake tool is just kind of, it has a saw blade end and like some little teeth on this. It's really dirty, but there's some teeth right here. It has a kind of a flat end on this side. This is the end I use the most. And then there's a rounded side over here. So I use this tool to rake out, get the form with my clay. It also shapes everything. And when I do sculpt, I think of everything as, so when I start, I have one big shape, and then I have a smaller shape, and a smaller shape, and then I have a smaller shape on top of that, and a smaller shape on top of that. And each one is sculpted and given its own detail through the process. So it's all raked down with this. And then I go to my loop tools. This is a loop tool. It's a Kemper tool, just a wire loop, round on one side, straight on the other. I use this to even further the form, start adding skin texture or wrinkles, like my larger wrinkles with this. And then I go into the smaller loops. This is another Kemper tool here, and it's just a smaller wire loop tool. And I just further the detail with this, the smaller wrinkles into an even smaller loop tool like this, and I go even smaller. And then I'll use a brush. I use a lot of brush. I use more brushes when I'm sculpting than I do when I do makeup. It's true. I'll use this to smooth things out. I'll use 99 alcohol. I have a secret, which only my students know so far. Cinema Secrets brush cleaner I use to melt the clay down. It melts it really quickly and it dries really fast, so I can get right back to the work again. And I use that to melt the clay down, just to kind of round off the edges. And then I go to a baby powder, which doesn't muddy it up, and also rounds out the edges. And then when I get into doing the skin wrinkle, like the small skin details and pores, this is another cutting edge sculpting tool. It has some little wires on the end here. And this is what I'll drag through to create all the little tiny wrinkles in the skin. There's one that digs a little deeper than the other. And then this is a cut up dog brush, which is kind of the same effect. But I'll buy a dog brush and I'll cut it up into little pieces, and it has these little metal staples on it basically. And I'll drag this through the clay to give all the little skin texture and detail. And then finally, the pores. This is from Effect Studion, I guess is what it's called. I can't remember. I bought this at a show. It's just a little wheel that has pore texture, and they have a bunch of different styles with different textures. I'm used to just doing it by hand, one by one, when I'm putting in a pour. And I saw this and I said, oh, let me roll it in, a little piece of clay out there, and I want to try it out. I rolled it on and I went, oh my God. Oh my God.
14 hours.
This just, oh yeah, no, it totally did. Like it really did. I mean, I got this thing and I came back and I'm like, okay, I'm texturing everything, and teaching my students. My students are like, wow, what is it? Like, really, that's that easy, you can't do everything with this because you can't get into all the little details with it. So you do have to get in with your tool and go singled out. But I make a lot of my own tools too. Sometimes when I have like pour tools, instead of having one pour at a time, I make them to where I can get like 3 pours at a time. And I just use bent wire and old makeup brushes as a handle, and I'll use some like a 5-minute epoxy or something and glue them together. But that's it right there. I mean, I have piles and piles and piles of tools, all different shapes of wire tools, these Kemper tools, different sizes, thicknesses. This one, I think it says it's a D2. I don't know if you guys want me to read out which numbers are on these things, but that's really kind of like it's personal preference. Once you learn, you figure out what tools works out for you the best. Um, and it's kind of like how when I teach my classes, I teach with not like a real hard curriculum, not anything that's like written down on paper, because everybody learns differently. So I like to find out who my student is at first, learn a little bit about them, and then let them get their hands dirty for a minute, and I can kind of figure out what's going to be the easiest way to teach them, to start off. And it changes through the process, but everybody learns differently. So I like to, if one tool isn't working out well for them because I can see them using it, they don't understand it. I'll give them another tool, and then another tool, and another tool, and then you'll see it when it clicks, or if you're doing it yourself, you'll feel it when it clicks. When it just works, it works. And then just practice and time and years of staying up all night sculpting.